I was about 12 or 14 years old, and a real good family friend of ours was getting a divorce. And he didn't want his wife to get his horses. So he sold me 3 horses for $1 apiece, with the understanding that if he got somewhere and got settled and he could have them back, I would sell them back to him for $1 apiece. Well, one of those horses was retired out of a bucking string. His name was Nasty. Old Nasty was a bucking horse, straight out of old Rob Roy. The Circle 8 on his left hip would tell you his whole story. Of all the horses on the ranch, he was the best to catch. He'd stand and wait and hang his head. He knew he'd get his chance. We'd all line up and draw the straws to see who would be first, to climb aboard and screw it down and then just hit the dirt. He'd buck and kick and snort and fart. He'd finally gone to work. Well, we'd stay lined up and take our turn till someone stayed the 8. Once we did, he'd settle down and head us out the gate. We'd ride and play and have our fun. He'd be steady as a rock. He knew he'd gone to work today. He knew he'd punched his clock. Now, we gave him back his dignity, and he taught us all a strive. He taught me one great lesson that I've kept throughout my life. It might be hard, and you might be scared, but if you stay the 8, you'll always get your just reward right out that pasture gate. Now, the buck I paid for Nasty brought $1 million in return, 'cause every time I climbed aboard was another lesson learned. My only hope, as I look back, is that there only were another one, like Nasty, who'd wait to take his turn, to teach a kid that climbs aboard that misery and strife are only but the smallest part of having rich, full life. 'Cause if you have the courage, and if you can stay the 8, you'll always get your just reward right out that pasture gate.